Mi
Okay.
sentite, vero? Vale.
Yes.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Svegliamuseo on air.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. And this is the sixth appointment of Svegliamuseo on air. Here with me online, there are Ryan Dodge from Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. And we have also Giuseppe, Angela, Bruno, Maddalena, e Padre Moni from the catacombs of Santi Marcellino e Pietro in Rome. They're there, a lot of people. And of course, Valeria Gasparotti and Alessandro D'Amore of Svegliamuseo.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. So this episode of Svegliamuseo on Air is about Google Plus and the way the museums can integrate Google Plus in their online and digital strategy. So Ryan Dodge is the social media coordinator of the Royal Ontario Museum of Toronto. And we can say that this institution plays a leading role in the social media management. So we hope that his thoughts and the thoughts that he is about to share with us are going to be very interesting for you, and also for the catacombs, since they are very new in the field. So we hope that we all have a lot of questions to ask Roger, both on Google Plus and on social media strategy more in general. So I leave the stage to Ryan, and then we go on with questions.
Thank you very much for that great introduction. I'm really excited to take part in this project. I think what you guys are doing with this project is amazing. I wish that there was something like this in Canada. You know, a lot of museums in Canada are using social media. You know, a lot of museums are just getting started. For the ROM, we've only been doing it for 2 years officially. Unofficially, we had about 2 years before I started in this role. So, you know, if you feel like everything is brand new, it's not only you. A lot of people are in the same space as you guys, and I think it's really important that you guys are helping people along and giving people the opportunity to really talk about these things and share resources and things like that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first and just say thank you very much for allowing me to take part in this.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess, like I said, officially I've been in this role for 2 years, and for about 2 years before that, there was a group of us that were working in social. We were dabbling. We were doing it on top of our other jobs, and we found quickly that it was too much for us to do on top of our other jobs. So we had a full-time role created, and I was lucky enough to get that job. And our work with Google Plus really came out of the need to leverage some of the tools available within Google Plus. So like we're doing now, we're hanging out with people across the world, from North America to Europe. This tool is incredibly powerful. Using Hangouts on Air for us has been massive. We started using it in April of 2013, and we started using it because we needed video content for the website, but we had no budget, we had no staff resources to get, you know, proper edited Hollywood-style videos put up on our website. So we were sitting around a meeting, we were brainstorming ideas, and I had heard about Google Plus Hangouts on Air and really wanted to try them out. And we were trying to do this big splash for the month of April. April is Nature Month. We wanted to showcase our curatorial staff in our biodiversity section who are working on animals and climate change and things like that, but we didn't have any resources. So I put my hand up and I said, "What about Google Hangouts on Air?" And everyone kind of just gave me this blank stare, like, "What are you talking about? We don't know what you're trying to say." And so I explained what it was, and everyone was like, "And how much? It's free?" And I said, "Yes, it's free. It's not going to cost us anything. You know, it's just a bit of an experiment. You know, you're gonna have to trust me." And you know, everyone was a little hesitant at first, but once they saw what we could do with the tool, everyone was sold from then. And we've since We did in that month, April 2013, we did 9 Hangouts every Tuesday and Thursday with a different curatorial stream within our biodiversity group. So we hung out with entomologists, we hung out with the bug people, we hung out with the bird people, we hung out with the fish people, and we really brought, we were hanging out in collection spaces, we were hanging out in people's office. We actually went to a school with one of our mammalogists was doing a presentation at a school, so we followed him to that, and we put it on a Hangout. So it's a really versatile tool that you can leverage to really bring your audience, your community into your spaces and make the focus on your people and your collections, and it's free. I'll just keep saying that it's free. And so after April, we started doing them. I had a chat with someone at Google, and she said that the best thing to do was to make it a regular thing, just like you guys are doing, that it becomes sort of a show that people know when you're going to do them. They know to tune in. They know, okay, the ROM's doing a Hangout. We do them on the second Wednesday of every month, so that people know that always, no matter what the date, the second Wednesday, we're going to do a Hangout. And we've played a little bit with the times of day that we do them, but really we try to keep it set to the second Wednesday of every month so that it becomes a regular thing that people tune into. And we're lucky that we have so many areas of focus at the museum that we can switch it up. We've hung out about mummies. We've hung out about our biodiversity people. We've done hangouts with curators in the field. We had a curatorial team in Borneo doing biodiversity work there, so we hung out with them, which was really cool and really difficult because of the internet connectivity in Borneo. And we've hung out with we've held a media preview for an exhibit through Hangout, which was really interesting. We had an exhibit from the Natural History Museum in London, and we had a team there hanging out with us during our live media preview here in Toronto, and the media in Toronto were able to ask questions of the group from the Natural History Museum. So it was a great way to have live interaction on site, but also interaction online, sort of marrying those two, the physical and the digital space. We're looking at ways of sort of updating our use of Hangouts as well, and doing more ad hoc stuff on the fly, just jumping on news stories when we can. We had a couple of curators that went to Newfoundland to recover a blue whale back in May, and we weren't planning. We were planning to do a different Hangout, but because it was such a big international story, we jumped on that and were able to get a Hangout with them in the field, and that was a really great success. So going forward, our strategy, it's Hangouts are part of our day-to-day, just like some museums do Twitter chats regularly. We don't do Twitter chats that often. We do Hangouts, and the reason we do Hangouts is because you have the ability to really have a visual interaction and Q&A with your audiences and your community, and in my opinion, I value that more, face-to-face interaction, than Twitter chats at 140 characters at a time. But that's just me. Some people are the opposite, but when you get a school group, when you get a classroom hanging out with your curatorial staff and they're asking them questions live, and you can see their reactions on their faces, and the curator can interact with that classroom, and chances are they're somewhere across the country or around the world. That kind of stuff is priceless. So that's the whole reason why we're on Google Plus is for Google Hangouts on Air. If you're looking at you don't want to just be on Google Plus just for Hangouts. It is a great tool. It's one of the fastest growing networks. In terms of social logins on websites and things, Google Plus is number 2 behind Facebook. You see those logins where you can choose, if you want to log in through an email or through Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus. Google Plus is second highest. It's a growing audience. It's not as big as Facebook, obviously, but the tools available to you are really great, and something that museums should take more advantage of. Regular posting, we tend to keep our schedule the same as Facebook. What we post on Facebook is generally the same as what we post on on Google Plus. Slightly different. There's more opportunity for more long form content on Google Plus. You can post more than the 100 words or 50 to 100 words that you would normally post on Facebook. You can stretch it out a little bit on Google Plus, which is great. Does anyone have any questions? I feel like I'm talking too much. Does anyone have any questions about anything? No?
No, I mean, you're talking, I mean, you're saying very interesting thing, and maybe I can ask you straight away, since you mentioned Facebook and the difference or the similarities between Facebook and Google+. The new ad rank on Facebook, the visibility of the post is decreasing every month, basically. So a lot of people are starting thinking about leaving Facebook. And I read some articles saying that Google Plus can replace it somehow. So what's your opinion on this? Can you think that Facebook can be replaced, really? Because it seems like, all the memes online about Google Plus say that it's like empty, like the desert. Meanwhile, on Google Plus. So what's the logic, in your opinion?
So, yeah, I would love to leave Facebook, but I don't think that's would be a prudent decision at this point. Facebook's the biggest network. The most people are on it. The average person, checks their Facebook profile like 14 times a day or something. It's difficult as a nonprofit, especially with a small budget, to play in that Facebook pay-to-play space. I realize, we don't spend a lot of money on Facebook. Very little money goes to Facebook ads for us, and I don't like buying ads from Facebook. I think it sort of defeats the purpose. In my opinion, your content should do the talking for you, but you got to make sure that you're posting good content and you're posting stuff that your audience will engage with and wants to engage with. And and I think a lot of people lose sight of what social media is really about. It's about being social with your community and your audience, and not just posting stuff to post stuff. I really value the interactions and the conversations that people can have out of social, and I don't. A lot of people say Facebook's a marketing tool, and sure, it's marketing, but that's not our goal. Our goal is awareness, but it's also the conversations that we can have with people on Facebook and on social in general. So, having to pay to have those conversations, I think is really too bad. I understand Facebook's a company; they need to make money and all that, but there's things about Google that that they do really well for nonprofits. If you're a nonprofit, you can have access to $10,000 of free ad spend for Google AdWords every month. Any of your content that you post on Google is search engine optimized and really easily found by people searching for your museum. If you go and you search Royal Ontario Museum on Google, the ad or the map and all that stuff that pops up on the side, a lot of that content comes from Google Plus. If we post a video from our YouTube channel on Google Plus, if you hit the video search on Google, guess what comes up? All of our videos from YouTube. So the power of Google to connect all those different pieces together, Google Places, claim your place on Google Places, claim your venue. Make sure that you have your mission statement and all of the keywords that you think people are going to search for when they're searching for your location in your Google Plus profile. All that kind of stuff. It's a really powerful tool when you think about it from the nuts and bolts aspect of how it functions with search. And I can guarantee that most of the people are going to find you online through Google search. For us, our number one place we get traffic from on our website is Google. The second is Facebook. But if we're posting lots of good content on our Google Plus account and using the power of the SEO to leverage that, people are actually finding us through Google Plus and search at the same time. So, it's all about cutting through everything that's on the internet, all that information, and making sure that people can find you if they're looking for you, and finding the good stuff. They're finding those videos that you made, they're finding those Hangouts, they're finding, the really interesting blog posts and things like that. And I haven't looked into it too much, but you can create ads out of any of the content that you post on Google Plus, which makes a really powerful ad because it's content based. And we haven't done that yet. We really don't do too much with Google AdWords either. We do a little bit, but it's handled by our marketing team, and I'd love to see us do more. But it's really, that's a whole. There's courses you can take on Google AdWords, and some people just, it's difficult to add that in, that extra layer. But hope that answers your question.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, you already use some budget on Google Ads, and you're saying that you're planning to use it also on Google Plus because you can boost the single post, if I understood well.
Yeah, there's a new thing. Like any social network, there's a lot of stuff that changes, and Google is no different. There's stuff that changes every day, and sometimes you just find out about it when you go to start a Hangout and a button move that you normally use to invite people or something like that. So there are those things, but this what I was talking about, I forget exactly what it's called, but it has to do with AdWords and using the content that you post on Google Plus in your Google Ads, and it's basically like a super ad. It marries the keywords that you would normally use in Google AdWords with content that you've posted, so it makes your ad come alive basically, and we haven't really toyed with that yet. We don't use close to the monthly allotment of free ad spend that we get from Google as a nonprofit. So it's yeah, I don't know if it's in Italy yet, but they just sort of opened it up in Canada officially maybe a month or two ago, and basically you can sign up as a nonprofit organization and get free ad spend from Google to use in Google AdWords. And there was a petition going around a few months ago for Facebook to do the same thing for Facebook from ads. Yeah. So same sort of thing. And it would really help nonprofits because really, we're not a traditional business. Yes, we need people to come in through the door and buy tickets and spend money in the gift shop and whatnot. But really, at the heart of all of what we do is education for people, and it's a shame that we have to fight with the big corporations of the world to get our content out to people when all we want to do is educate people about science, history, art, whatever our missions are, and I'd love to see even Twitter ads too. I'd love to see some something for nonprofits in both those platforms.
Yeah, that would be great. I think also Alessandro and Valeria have some question for you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Ryan, in terms of the Google Art project, I know that you're more of a science focused museum, but maybe you can still answer this. Do you think that is valuable for a museum to join that project, or it looks sometimes a little bit of a static online exhibition? So what are the, in your opinion, let's say the benefits of joining?
It's all about awareness, right? Awareness of your art. I don't want to give too much away, but we're working with Google on a number of projects. The art project being one of them. We're also doing some indoor mapping things, and there's lots of stuff that lots of tools that they have that could really help cultural institutions. And yeah, our project, it made a big splash when it first came out, and everyone was trying to be in the next round and things like that. And we are a world cultures and a natural history museum, so we kind of have both focus. We kind of, our director calls us an encyclopedic museum, so you can come here and you can see dinosaurs. You can also see decorative arts and material culture from different cultures around the world. So that's where we're not unique. There's lots of museums that have sort of that dual mandate, but there is opportunity for us to take part in things like the Google Art Project. For us, well, in my opinion, I think it's great to have access to artworks at that level of DPI and where you can zoom in, you can see the cracks in paintings, you can see all of the the things that you wouldn't see if you were normally face to face with a piece of art. I've been to Italy once. I'm not sure I'll ever get a chance to go back again. I'd love to. But being able to engage with those museums and see those works of art, as if I was standing right in front of them, I think is extremely valuable for institutions. Digital representations are never going to replace being in front of the real thing. Look at the Louvre and the Mona Lisa. There's thousands of millions of images of the Mona Lisa online. They're the most visited museum in the world, and I would say most of it is to go see that one painting. So anyone that tells you that it's bad to put your stuff online is missing the point, I think. So there's also the indoor mapping stuff is really cool. And they're just launching indoor mapping soon in Canada, and they've done it in states. You can get it for airports and malls and museums. Big sort of big location-based bricks and mortar buildings have the indoor mapping done, and we have a real tough time with wayfinding at our museum, so we're really looking forward to having the indoor mapping done and seeing where that can help our visitors.
Okay.
There's also the Cultural Institute too. Have you guys, the Google Cultural Institute, have you heard about that? Where you can work with them to produce online exhibits. That's sort of a sign-up thing, and then they get back to you when they get back to you. So if you haven't signed up for that, I'm sure you can just Google Cultural Institute and find the link to sign up. But it's also something to look at too to get more of your content online. The good thing about doing those is that Google shares it for you. So there's lots to be said about the reach of Google around the world. It's the #1 search engine. So having them help you spread your message is not a bad thing, I don't think.
Okay. I think that Alessandra has another question.
Yes. Okay. So going on talking about Google and Google Plus, what do you think about the possibility for Google Plus to create communities and how museum could leverage on that? Thinking, for example, thinking about museum community in which museum professional post appointments or drinking about museum throughout the world, and if this tool could be useful for museum, for example, to study their audience or problem of their target, like that.
Yeah, and so earlier I mentioned about all the tools on Google Plus that are available to you, and they're really powerful tools. Communities is a huge one. And I don't know if you think a couple of years ago, Facebook groups were a big thing, and museums were torn between creating a page or a group, and the communities work in the same way as a group, and it's something that we haven't really tapped into yet, and I would love to do. Think about doing an exhibit design group. Thinking about doing like a visitor participation group, any number of things. You could probably get people to translate your labels in multiple languages if you put a group. It's a really powerful tool, and the Drinking About Museums one is a great example. I'm glad you brought that up of people taking an idea and spreading it across the world, and really all it is just an informal networking event, but it's great to have people come together and be aware of these things that happen. And I haven't really tapped into the communities yet for the museum and how they would work. I'm only one person, so I wish, if I had a team of people, we'd be all over the place doing crazy things. It's definitely, that's another tool that I think is really valuable if you can do it and do it well and spend time doing it on Google+. There's lots of other communities that aren't museum focused, but that you can join and see how they function and get ideas from them and try it out at your own institution. It doesn't always have to be a museum focus. You just have to figure out how that idea can apply to you and benefit you and your institution and your community. If you're looking around for ideas, don't just focus on the museum stuff, because I haven't, to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of museum communities. There's art-focused ones and things, but there's lots of science stuff. There's lots of science, technology, math education groups and stuff that their ideas could definitely be applied to in the museum space. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ryan. I think we can let Giuseppe talk for a while.
Sure.
They're going to present their institution and the work they are currently doing on social media, and ask you some questions, even if not only focused on Google+, but more on the social media strategy, since you are an expert.
No one's an expert. We're all just trying. We're just trying things.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. So Giuseppe, go ahead.
I'm not Giuseppe, I'm Angela.
Angela.
Okay, I'm another of the group of the catacombs. Hello, Ryan. Nice to meet you. I'm very happy. We are very happy to be here and to have the possibility to speak with you. First of all, we want to present us and also other plays. We are a little reality inside the Museum of Rome. We belong to a place rich of history, and also this is our area is an archaeological area. First of all, we have to remember that here, this place, our place, was chosen by Costantino to be built. Here's a monument, a funeral place. So we have a big monument outside, rise over our catacombs, belongs to the family of Costantino, because Costantino wanted to be buried here, even if then the extraction was given to his mother, Sant'Elena. And so there was also inside our monument, outside a big sarcophagus in red porphyry, now conserved in Vatican Museum. Very important piece of art. And then we offer to the public the possibility to go down in our catacombs. We speak about the third place, largest of catacombs in Rome. We speak about 18,000 square meters of cunicoli and galleries, and a lot of locally belongs to the first community of Christian people. Remember that this place belongs to the Vatican, so it's very important also for our history connected to the Christian religion. In fact, people can stress their religion, their creed, coming to visit us. Then the catacombs are titled to two saints, Marcellino and Peter, very important because they were beheaded during the last persecution against Christian people wanted by Diocletiano. So we have a lot of things to offer, because inside the vehicle, inside, you have to remember that in the catacombs there are also little room, private room, used by rich people and completely with fresco. And we speak about a little, if you want, even if we speak about a large area, Cappella Sistina, because of the Paleo-Christian period, because we have a lot of fresco able to stress the importance of the first Christian witness. So there is the possibility to see the symbol of Christianism, like the chrismon, or like Grande, like also Jesus, and the story of the ancient and the new witness, very important for us. So we want to offer, even if we are a little reality, if you want, we offer a lot of things to the public. First of all, our smile. It's important for us. Because people here who come here are not only tourists, but are witness people, Christian people, and also people who want pilgrims who want to come in a holy place. Now I give the possibility to speak.
Okay, let's talk to the organization of our museum. Okay. A Catacombs of Santi Marcellino and Pietro is a museum that opened on 13th of April 2014 after years of the restoration, after 20 years of the restoration. Now the museum is open on Saturday and Sunday, and is managed by the staff members and volunteers with skills in art, restoration, management, and economics. In future, we want to open all week. Our museum is in Rome, city rich of archaeological sites and museum like Colosseum or Vatican Museum. So we are a small museum, but in competition with the other museum of Rome. So when we start, the first problem was to build our audience, and we decided to use for that to use a social media. At the moment, we have a profile on Facebook. In the next future, we would like to have a web TV on YouTube and a Twitter profile. The social media team is a very small. Okay, because it's just one person, but we try to do our best. How the museum use social media to build a relationship, to start global conversation, and share stories and contents. We use Facebook to promote school programs, share interesting content, engage visitor, and create interesting content to young people, to connect young people. Okay. Also, we use Facebook to communicate with our community, our neighborhood, Torpignatara, that is an area where the museum is located. So, I have a question for Ryan, okay? We are a small museum. How we can do to use this tool, Google Plus? Okay, what we can do?
Giuseppe, Ryan, I believe that Ryan is his connection dropped.
Okay.
So he's trying to join again.
Okay. Okay.
In the meantime, if you just want to ask the question and we see if we can answer it, I don't know. Okay, Giuseppe.
Okay. It's a conversation to Svegliamuseo.
Go ahead and.
Okay, we ask to Svegliamuseo. For us, that we are a small museum in an important city, what we can do to use Google Plus? Okay.
Oh, okay, I'm not hearing you.
So while we wait for Ryan, I think that one of the.
Go.
Are you hearing me, Francesca?
Yeah. Go.
Okay. So while we're waiting for Ryan, I think that what is said about Google Plus is like that, especially with through Google Hangouts on Air, you can actually create an actual conversation, like a face-to-face interaction, rather than with Twitter chats in which you just have the space of 140 charged to do that. So it might be, since you have been through a process of renovation and restoration of the frescoes and blah, 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 maybe since the audience is always interested in behind the scenes things, maybe Google Hangouts on Air could be a way to, I don't know, organize like a weekly or a monthly meeting with, like, meet the conservator or meet the curator and talk about the process that you're going through, since it's still, I believe there is also a museum that is going to open near the catacombs. Am I right?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it could be a way to use at least the Google Hangouts tool. Let me check if it's...
Valeria, in the meantime, you can try to invite again Ryan.
I've been trying for like 4 times.
Dei convegni, degli incontri con certo.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, the first part of Ryan talk was about using Google Hangout as a way to improve YouTube, for example. So maybe you can consider the idea of implementing a YouTube channel, which is great. I mean, for reach a broader audience, and since, of course, we always say that it's important to start a social network if it makes sense for a museum to be on that social network. So it means that you have to study your target, that you have to decide which goal you have in using a certain channel, and then, of course, see if your target is using that channel. So maybe you can just try to understand if it will be useful for you to be on YouTube, like as Ryan was saying, and as we are doing with Svegliamuseo on Air. Like, if you set up a fixed appointment with your community, like once a month or once every 2 weeks, you just have the Catacombe, I don't know, channel, and you talk about, maybe you can find some topics, like interesting topics to approach in a different...
It will be archaeological channel, a historical channel, really connected to our network, okay? Not just catacombs.
Yeah, you can interview. You can try and interview on Google Hangout other people working in other catacombs around the world. That would be great. Or you can every time like deepen the life of a single person who lived back in the Roman ages and who is buried in your catacomb. Or you can, I don't know, skeletons are always cool. So you can do something also. I suggest you to watch the first Hangout we had, which was specifically on YouTube, and during which Dixie Clough was telling us about some examples of using YouTube in the YouTube way, that in the YouTuber way, which means like being creative and not fearing to be less, how can I say, less institutional and more people-oriented, like creating contents that are not simply lectures and conferences, very boring, with a person always talking blah 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 for 40 minutes, but maybe like creating interaction. Oh, we got
yes.
So
guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there.
Don't worry.
Oh, it's okay.
We were just talking about...
Ryan, I think now is the moment to tell everybody that sometimes Google Hangout doesn't really work.
Yeah. It was really strange there. It just kind of, you guys all froze, and then, I was like, oh my God, I think I lost everyone. And then I started checking to make sure the other pages that I had open were working, and they were working. So I wasn't really sure what I did, but for everyone out there, this is a great tool when it works. There will be times when things like that happen, and they can't be helped. So it's good to have things to talk about or something. And we had our phones going. We were DMing each other on Twitter, trying to figure out what was happening behind the scenes. So it's good to have those connections behind the scenes before you
backup tools.
Yeah, backup tools before you start these things, just so everyone's aware. If something goes wrong, here's what we do. and you know, all I did was I closed out of my windows, I deleted my browser history, and then I opened everything back up, and then it let me back in. So, you know, there's you know, little tricks like that that you can do sometimes that'll help. Not being on Wi-Fi also helps. I shared with you guys earlier a document that has sort of tips and tricks and best practices, and I don't know if we can get that out to people.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll
You can
try
share
to
your screen if
I'll
you.
try to do the screen share and show
Yeah.
you guys. But the link is it's an open doc, so you can anyone can view it. You just can't edit
I think
it.
we can share it. Can we share it through Twitter and our Facebook group?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
That's
you can
great.
put it
So
on
I'm
the
sharing it
website
on
too if you want.
Facebook. Yeah, thank you.
But anyway, that's something that I put together with some friends, Stephanie Powell and Lisa Mazzola at MoMA, and Mike Morosky at the Portland Art Museum, and they've also been doing a lot of work with Hangouts. So we did a presentation a year ago at the Museum Computer Network conference about Hangouts, and it was sort of, we started off with, it's a great tool, but you know, here's what you need to know if you're going to start doing it. So it's a great document that includes a lot of helpful hints and things like that. Anyway, once we're done and you get the recording in YouTube, you can actually, if you want, you can cut out the part that was gone. But I'm sure you guys had a great discussion going while I wasn't there.
Yeah, it was very, very great. It wasn't me actually talking, but the question from the catacombs was about like which is a good. We were giving them some ideas to use Google Plus and specifically Google Hangout to boost another platform because they maybe you lost their introduction, but Giuseppe was telling us that they have, for the moment, they only have Facebook because they just started and because it's just one person working with social media and because he is a volunteer, I'm sorry, and so his time is not that much. And so I think their question is more about like which is a good way to start using Google Plus, like very basic step-by-step instruction, like which content, which frequency, or like which or maybe also which other channels would you suggest since you're a social media strategist for them?
You know, I would say that to not do too much, to not try to do too much, to try to pick and choose the tools that you think are going to make sense for you and your audience, your workload. You know, if you can gather some data on your visitors, if I don't know how it works there, but if you have, you know, if you can ask a simple question, people coming in, hey, are you on Twitter? Do you know that, you know, we have a Facebook page? Do you follow us on, you know, or do you like our page on Facebook? That sort of stuff. Just talk with people in the physical space and figure out, you know, where they are, and then you can meet them there. As far as content, like I said earlier, that general day-to-day posting on Facebook and Google Plus is relatively the same for us. We tend to, because again, I'm only one person, so there's only so much content that I can produce, and I have lots of help from people at the institution that help me produce content and help with monitoring of various channels. But you know, it can be unmanageable if you try to do, you know, 5 different platforms. So I would say pick 2 or 3 and figure out how you can manage those 2 or 3. The worst thing you want to do is have you know, a dead platform. You know, you start up your platform and then you don't post on it for a month, and then maybe you post for a week or 2, and then you don't post for another 2 weeks, and then, you know, you want to make sure that within the work that you're doing, that you can fit it into your workflow, and that you can post consistently, and that you can respond to comments, you know, as soon as possible in a timely fashion. And you know, that's how you're going to build your audience and build your community. It's by being present for them and having conversations with them. So maybe Google Plus isn't something you can do right now, but once you get a handle on how your Facebook page runs and how it and how it functions and how you work it into your workflow, then maybe you can branch out and try something else. If you're going to institute a monthly Hangout program or something, or if you want to do Hangouts regularly with schools or something like that, then I'd say just start up your page and use it for that until you can get in the process of posting more regularly on Google+. The biggest thing is to not stretch yourself thin and to not, obviously you probably have other responsibilities, and you probably have a day job that you need to do as well. So just making sure that you're posting good content, you're posting it consistently, and don't be worried that you're not on every new social media platform that comes out. Make sure that whatever you're doing works for you, your institution, and more importantly your community. And then not everyone is the Smithsonian's of the world, and not everyone is the British Museum or the Louvre, or not everyone can do everything. Not everyone has huge budgets, huge staff. So just figure out what makes sense for you and do that. That would be my advice. We have a Pinterest page, but we don't post on it. There's an example, something that someone started before I came in the role because everyone else was on Pinterest or starting a Pinterest page. And I haven't really found that it really has deep engagement with people, or how it would really work for us. And I don't have the time to manage that with everything else. So I'm sure if you talk to other people, they have other accounts that were started without first doing their homework on it. One of the things you should really do is think about why you're using social media, why you're on it, how it works for you, how it works for your community, and really step back from the urge to jump on all these platforms and think about first how it can benefit you and your community. And then once you figure that out, then you sort of have a basis of what you're going to do with it. So many different things you could do with all these different platforms, but what makes sense for you and your community. A lot of people don't do a content plan either. Think about the content that they're going to use on the different platforms. Not all content works on every platform. Some gets more engagement on some than others. So thinking about your social media activities strategically is really, really important. And to do that first, to do your homework and get your ducks in a row before you go live to the world is really important. Hope that helps.
I have a question, Ryan. They're all volunteers there, so the workload may be one of the problem, but they could also turn this situation on their favor. Let's say that they can have a more diffused strategy, like let's say divide the workload among volunteers. So they don't need necessarily a coordinator. Maybe they need a coordinator that coordinates, but not really that like a social media manager, but just somebody that check the contents before it goes online. But through also Google Documents and other tools that Google offers, they can also create the contents and have them shared among many people. Do you have any experience at the Royal Ontario Museum of this kind of approach, like creating contents throughout across the organization, or how does it work with the? Are you the person in charge of doing that?
Yeah, so there's three aspects of my job here at the museum, and a really big one is training staff on the use of social. And I do the monitoring, the posting and monitoring of content. I try to experiment as much as possible and keep up with what's happening in the social media space. But then the biggest thing that I do, and something that I love doing, is helping staff along in their own social media journey. Getting curators to start using Twitter, showing them how to be effective online communicators, showing them how to work it into their day-to-day so that it doesn't feel like it's daunting, that it's just something that they do along with everything else. And I really love the conversations that start with curatorial staff when they understand that it's not a lot more work. It's just working slightly differently, and they get excited about the opportunities to share what they have online, and what their passions and what they love and what they find interesting, and try to ignite those passions and that interest in the community. So I have I don't know if you've seen, but we have lots of different corporate Twitter accounts, and we have probably 10 or 11 corporate accounts, and we wouldn't be able to have that many accounts if we didn't do that training first. Myself and my boss and the web team, we hold monthly workshops where we do sort of like a 20-30 minute presentation where we focus on one aspect of online social media work. You know, I did Twitter 101 one month, and someone from our web team did photo editing one month. We're going to do blogs next month. Then I'm going to do an advanced Twitter the month after that. And then after we do that 20-minute sort of, you know, focus on one topic, we'll open up the floor and we'll talk about what everyone's doing on social. If there's any burning questions that people need to ask, you know, and it's really meant to be, we're meant to be resources for staff that they can bounce ideas off and ask questions if they need to. And you know, it's great to see that light bulb turn on when people get an idea and figure out how they can make their work social, and really when they start engaging with people on social, it's, you know, I get emails like, oh my God, did you see this? Like, I had this great conversation with this person, and you know, I love getting those emails, and I love helping people along with that. So I would definitely say you can share the workload. I would suggest that you set up a schedule. You know, we had success. We did a monitoring pilot where we had a number of staff monitor our main Twitter handle, ROM Toronto, over the month of December. And what we did is we scheduled people Monday to Friday. We had 2 shifts. We had one from 9 to 1, 9 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, and from 1 to 5. And so we did this as a test to see what would happen, just to give me an opportunity to do something else than monitor Twitter all day, although it's lots of fun. And so we had people through our work email, we're handing over you know, messages that needed to be responded to, and you know, issues that were coming up, and content and things like that. And it worked really well. So you know, as long as everyone's on the same page, you know, maybe it's something where you know, one person handles Mondays and one person handles Tuesdays, and you know, it's whatever you can do to make it work for your team, so that you can share the load. You know, yeah, I'm all for that. I'm sure there's lots of other examples of other institutions doing that as well, especially people that don't have someone in my role full time. But you know, the biggest thing is make sure you do the training ahead of time. Make sure people are comfortable with the platform. They know, you know, how to respond to people online, because it may seem like a one-to-one conversation, but it's very public. So especially where your site is very religious in nature, you know, you could run into issues there. There's also human remains, so you know, there could be issues there with you know, with that content. It's something that we don't talk about. You know, in our guidelines for staff, we say no religion and no politics. You know, keep on topic. Talk about, you know, your day-to-day, the collection that you're working with, but you know, we can't, as a provincial, the museum is an agency of the government of Ontario, which is a province in Canada. You know, we can't talk about politics either way. We can't endorse any politicians. We can't, you know, we can't engage in those conversations. So, and then religion, you know, like, it's just something that we'd rather people talk about, you know, what their day-to-day and the content that they're working with, rather than go into you know, personal views on things. It may be their personal accounts, but they're still representatives of the museum. So you got to make sure that people are aware of that there may, you know, I I always explain social media. It's as if you're talking to a friend on the subway or on a bus. You know, you're in public or in a public square somewhere. You're in public, so anyone can overhear what you're talking about, even though you think you're having a private conversation with someone. You know, it may seem like a private conversation, but it's very public. So you got to make sure that you're representing yourself and your institution in the best possible way.
Yeah, that's so true. But maybe for them, a possible solution would be to approach the religious content from an historic point of view. That would be maybe a compromise. I don't know. But then, okay, I think we're it's almost an hour we're talking. So I don't know, Giuseppe, if you have any more questions or anything to add. Giuseppe?
No, we don't have questions. Just we want to invite Ryan to visit our catacomb, to visit Rome, okay, and to visit our archaeological site and the interesting area that is really multicultural, okay, in Rome. So come in Rome for the second time. Because
yeah,
you went just once.
It's always worth visiting, no, Ryan?
I would love to come back. I went. I was only there for 3 days, my first time, and it was not enough. But we did.
I would love to come. Our small size, but you will have I think a really good experience. In Rome.
Yeah, that would be nice. And then
can I ask you a question, Giuseppe? Do you allow photography at your site?
Sorry?
Do you allow photography at your site? Can people take photos?
Puoi fare fotografie, Giuseppe, nelle catacombe? È possibile fare fotografie?
The visitors, they can do pictures, okay, just the member staff, okay. It's a bit a problem because they cannot share the content of the catacombs. The reason is to protect the area that is really okay. But we are going to open the museum of the mausoleum of Sant'Elena, and then they can do a picture, I think. Okay, they can share maybe on Facebook. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was just wondering because we've done a lot of stuff with adding sort of prompts for our social media accounts in our gallery spaces. So we'll put a sign up that says, you know, like us on Facebook, or, you know, join the conversation on Twitter or something like that. So I don't, you know, just some ideas about it, you know, putting the physical space and the digital space together and making people aware that may not be that you do have a presence on social, and when they leave, they can still interact with you and your site, even though they may not be there. It's something that we've tried and I think really does help. You know, also on your map, if you give people like a map or a floor plan or a brochure or something, all you have to do is put the little logo on the bottom. It doesn't have to be a big, long instruction. You just put the social media logo, and people will know, oh, they're on Facebook. Let's go search Facebook for the site. You know, a lot of people are doing that now, and I think it's really valuable. It's just something small that you can do.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. That was a. Can you hear me? Ryan, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I was saying we really appreciated all
we can hear.
Your content in the articles you wrote for Svegliamuseo about interaction in the galleries between social media and in-gallery engagement. So thank you again for sharing other tips.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're okay. It's 1 hour. We were perfect, even if we had some technical problems. And I mean, the show must go on. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ryan. Really, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you, Giuseppe, and all the people
Thank you.
at the
Thank you.
catacombs.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Sorry about the
Of
technical
course, thank
difficulties.
you, Valeria and Alessandro. Okay, I think I'm hearing you with a little delay, but anyway, thank you so much, everyone. This was the last Svegliamuseo on air for this summer, and we will see you again in September. So enjoy your holiday, enjoy the summer, and see you soon. Bye.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.